Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised. My name is Alissa Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. In the last episode, we discussed the progression of Alissa's case from 2006 to 2008. We explored a confession from a man already serving a life sentence for murder that the investigators were not confident in. We also meet Detectives Stuart Summershoe and William Anderson and explore their vast efforts to gather as much information as possible about Alissa and her disappearance. In this episode, we're going to pick up right where we left off with the December 11th, 2008 meeting. Like I mentioned in episode 8, I received a call from Detective Anderson stating that there had been an update in the case, and I left you with me driving down the freeway full of hope for that meeting. When I arrived, the detectives were unable to meet with me immediately, and my boyfriend and I waited in their office for about 30 minutes before they called me back. Before making this podcast, I'm pretty sure that in every interview I'd ever given about Alissa, I described this meeting as only lasting for a few minutes. But I requested the records, and we spoke for over 40 minutes, and I could not believe what actually happened.
All right. Reason we called you down today, Sarah, is that we want to discuss where we're at with the case, what we found out so far. I mean, like last time you came down was back in September.
Something like that.
Yeah. I I don't know exactly what this discussed last time you were here and everything, but kind of how the case went. I mean, obviously your dad reported your sister missing back in May 2001. There's been a few bodies that were found that were compared to your sister, and they didn't match and all that. And then 2006 was when the guy down in Florida in prison confessed to killing Alissa. And I think Detective Anderson told you that we kind of checked into that.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be valid.
Yeah.
I mean, the confession is not credible. There's been follow-up done on who he said he was with Alissa and things like that. It doesn't seem to be panning out. He's confessed to 20 other homicides and nothing's ever panned out on that.
Yeah.
So we suspect he's somebody looking for attention, basically.
It's also important for you to know that in addition to his confession, his statement to that detective was, I'm going to make you famous.
Yeah.
He presented it in such a way that I will give you information on all these horrendous crimes I've committed if you get rid of certain people on my cell block for me.
Oh,
So
really?
he has his own motivations there, which
like
again causes to have credibility issues with him.
And this happens with cases that get publicity. If somebody sees something on the news, they latch onto it. So that's a double-edged sword with the press. So then we came to where we started digging into it again. I mean, Detective Anderson and I kind of came into it, it was kind of put on to us and we didn't have any prior experience with the case and all that. So we kind of looked at it with fresh eyes and, we started with everything was on the table. Nothing's been removed or anything like that. The first thing we wanted to do is see if we could find Alissa out there somewhere, in the country, possibly, if she ran away, she established a new identity and all that.
Social security numbers, that could
Exactly.
be.
We checked all across the United States. She hasn't had any kind of identification issued to her. No driver's license. She hasn't registered to vote. We checked using her mother's maiden name. We even checked out under Stacy's name just in case, she was friends with her, that she established identity.
Using her biological father's name. I mean, that's one we could think of.
Yeah.
We used lots of combinations. Nothing.
Yeah.
So that's troubling. I mean, that's, that it's been this long and Alissa hasn't popped up in the radar is concerning to us.
Yeah, I understand.
So like I said, we checked all that and then we started, interviewing everybody who knew her and her family. I mean, obviously we've interviewed you and your brothers. We interviewed John, her boyfriend. We tracked down her coworkers at Jack in the Box, her boss.
Yeah.
People at school who knew her. We tracked down, her aunt. And do you still talk to her?
My Aunt Lynette?
Yeah.
I saw her when my cousin was having a baby, but I only saw her for one night. Okay. We don't really talk.
All right. Well, we talked to her and, Teresa, Is your other
Not
aunt?
really. I guess I met her once when I was like really.
And I guess your maternal grandmother, Linda. Do you
I have a maternal grandmother?
Yeah.
No, I don't talk to her. I didn't know I had one that still lived.
You've never received any sort of communication from them? Holiday cards, birthday cards?
No, not since I was little, if even then. My Aunt Lynette will call me maybe once in a while, but we don't really talk.
Okay. Well, then shortly I'll tell you what she told us and all that. Who else did we talk to? We did a canvas in your neighborhood. We went out there trying to track down people. We actually did a canvas in your old neighborhood too.
Okay.
And
Your neighborhood?
I think I contacted one of your old babysitters.
Gloria?
Yep. I thought
Oh, yeah.
she was
She's really sweet.
Yeah. And we've tracked down a lot of people. We've dozens of people we've interviewed, and nobody's heard from Alissa. Nobody's seen or heard from her.
Did you get to talk to? Did she have?
The one that won't respond. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's crap. I messaged her too, and she just isn't writing back.
I don't know why that is. I mean, some people don't want to talk to the police.
Yeah, she's stupid.
But that's, that happens. And I don't know what information she would have. I mean, obviously she was friends with Alissa and all that.
Yeah. Well, if Alissa would have went anywhere, she would have done right, probably. Like in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I've left multiple messages. We've actually gone out to the house. Nobody answered the door. So, I've actually tracked down your father's ex-wives. Your father's a big part of this investigation. We talked to all these people. He's the one person that won't talk to us.
Yeah.
And he's the last person to see Alissa. So that's, curious. I talked to your father's ex-wife. I talked to,
his brother.
James?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they don't talk.
Yeah, they don't talk. I guess they haven't talked since 2000 or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've talked to a lot of people. And everybody has, excuse me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So, continue on.
We've run down the other leads too. Paul Abbott has been brought in for another interview. We all have mentioned John Lackman. He's been brought in for another interview. I've done everything I can. I've exhausted those ends.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to suspect Paul. I don't see any reason to suspect John.
Yeah.
We're coming to the point that we're running out of other leads.
Yeah.
Everything all right?
Yeah. I think we're talking about go. So, okay. So you told about Paul Abbott.
Paul Abbott, John Lackman. We've exhausted all known leads at that time.
Like I said, your father won't talk to us directly, but he has sent communications to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children with his version of events. And I kind of want to run that past you because you were there too. And since he won't come in for an interview and, I don't know how accurate it is or if it matches what you remember.
Yeah, could be. Because I wasn't there. I was at Waterworld and then I got picked up and then she was just gone.
Okay. What we've been able to, and talking to everybody, Alissa was a good kid. She smoked marijuana. She maybe drank underage.
Yeah.
She wasn't involved in any kind of criminal activity, that sort of thing.
She didn't do anything that we would consider to be a high risk or high profile lifestyle.
Yeah.
She, she was doing okay in school. Yeah. She wasn't the most brilliant student in the world, but I know previously she maybe had some issues where she's skipping school, but it seems like in her last year, she was actually doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And, her boss said, Jack in the Box said she was one of the best employees she had. Showed up at work all the time.
Yeah.
Was a very good employee. So, so we talked to John. John had never been talked to until we talked to him, John Lackman.
Yeah.
And, apparently they had a good relationship. They had a sexual relationship, but they were, romantically involved. He showed us love letters and it seems that she was pretty happy with him.
Okay.
The fact that he kept those letters.
Yeah.
For such a length of time.
Yeah.
Really speaks of John and his feelings, his state of mind during that relationship.
Yeah.
He actually was pretty emotional when we talked to him because this has hit him hard when Alissa went missing. He seemed to deeply care for her. And he saw her the day she went missing in the morning. And, she went to, they saw the other twin classes and he was in wood shop around 12:30 when she poked her head into class and said, my dad's pulling me out early. I'll talk to you later. And that was the last he saw her.
She got pulled out early that day?
Yeah, your dad pulled her out of school early. Okay, you weren't aware of that? Okay. she, and we haven't been able to verify through the school because school records aren't too accurate when it comes to like the last day of school.
Yeah.
So, but your father has also told us that he pulled her out early through his letters to Nick. So John, after school, shortly, he got out of school shortly after that. He had worked at U-Haul and went down to his U-Haul job. And that's it. He never saw Alissa again.
Yeah.
He said that she never mentioned running away. And nobody's really, that we've talked to has really told us that, yeah, she had plans to run away. And, it seems, we deal with it all the time. We deal with people who run away and missing juvenile. And it's very unusual for a juvenile not to tell anyone that she's running away.
Yeah.
So, you're in the letter to Nick, your father said that he pulled her out of school early, took her to lunch. He said he took her out around 12, took her to lunch and brought her back home to discuss the summer rules, as he refers to them.
Okay.
And he, had an argument with her and left. He said around 1:00, left her at the house. And then he said he went looking for a camera, lens, drove around until he picked you up around 5. And then, that's when you guys came back, and you told us that when you came back, when he picked you up, he was calling the phone.
Yeah.
He said he immediately went to her bedroom and then called you in, and that's when you saw the papers on the...
Yeah, I think we went right to her room.
Okay. Then you guys found a note on the
dresser.
On the dresser. Okay. He says that her house key was next to the note also. Do you remember that?
I don't remember. That sounds like it's right, but I honestly can't remember.
Okay. And you said it doesn't seem like there's a lot of her. You can pick up if you're getting high.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Like most of her belongings were still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the backpack was missing.
Yeah. She didn't even take like her important rings or anything because like I still have them and.
Yeah. That to me is worrisome. You know, that usually when somebody runs away, they take prized possessions. They take, stuff that belongs to them that they want.
They don't want to leave their lives. They just want to change something in them.
Yeah.
So we did, and then your father says that he got a call from her a week later that, in the morning hours.
Yeah. I wasn't awake.
Yeah. And he claims that Alissa basically, complained about her job, her life, and then basically called him F you and hung up on him. Yeah. And then he, I guess, went and filed a lawsuit against Quest and obtained information about that.
Yeah.
And then nobody else has heard from her since then. Mm-hmm. Some of the things we looked into, we look for, typically when people run away, is that they, they're running away from something, but they want to have some kind of something to land on. You know what I mean? They're going to take some items with them. They're going to take some money with them.
Know somebody where to
go,
that
exactly.
Kind of stuff? Okay.
And we've talked, or they tell somebody, John, the boyfriend, said that he was at work when he came out around 11:30 at night. He found a message on his cell phone from your dad saying, "Do you know where Alyssa's at?" He said no. He was at work. He actually grew worried about Alissa and actually drove around places where they would go to and didn't find her. And then he didn't hear from your dad again. I guess a couple days later, he went over to the house looking for Alissa, and your dad showed him the note and took her to the room and all that. He noticed that I guess there was a blanket that he had given her.
Oh, it's like a fire blanket, the blue fire.
Which I guess, and all that. And to be honest with you, John has some suspicions about your dad.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is that, I guess Alissa, a few months before she went missing, made a statement to John that, let me preface all this. By saying all this, I'm not trying to make you hate your dad. I'm not trying to make you think a certain way. I'm just telling you what we've learned.
No, I want to know.
Okay. And, this is what we've learned. So I want to, be honest with you and present it to you. He said that your dad, what Alissa said to him, she grew very emotionally upset and said, "My dad tried something with me."
Okay.
She was so hysterical, he didn't press the issue, but he interpreted it to mean of a sexual nature.
Yeah, that's what it would be implied as.
Do you have any knowledge of that or?
No.
No.
I mean, nothing was ever tried with me.
Okay. And I mean, that's, just like I say, that's for what it's worth. There were and if we looked into some other thing, and we contact CPS generally in runaway cases as part of a rule of thumb. Part of what CPS had on their records was your father called CPS about a year before Alissa went missing back in May of 2000.
He called them?
He called them.
Yes.
And this is basically, they do a summary. When people call CPS, they summarize what the complaint is. He called twice in May, and one of the times he says that Alissa is threatening to call CPS and tell them that he is molesting her.
Okay. And
he says this as a means, and you can read it yourself, but because she wants a truck, because she wants special privileges and that sort of thing. And, that's, what's going on. So go ahead and read it.
It's almost like a preemptive strike.
What do you mean by that?
Contacting CPS ahead of time to explain a potential allegation.
Oh.
And Alissa never did call CPS. There was no record of it.
Yeah, I know my brother John has called CPS back when we were younger, right when my mom died.
Yeah.
But he was saying, we don't have food, which was completely untrue.
Yeah, there was
that kind of stuff.
There was I guess, your aunt actually kind of assisted with that. And,
yeah, that's what I've heard. That's why we don't really.
Your father actually filed a false police report against your aunt for that.
Oh.
To us. So.
I wish I could be more help with the family history.
Okay. Well, maybe I can kind of give you a clue about some of the stuff.
That sounds familiar. I remember her being like, well, I'm going to call CPS if you don't let me do this. I remember her threatening.
Did she ever, that's a pretty specific threat.
No, but she, I don't know. It seems like she would have said something. It's not like she was the type of person that would keep her mouth shut about stuff.
Well, that's, and hypothetically, if that's going on, that's a pretty personal and pretty embarrassing fact.
Her disclosing it to her current boyfriend also raises some issues. Yeah, that's something she's going to have a tremendous amount of. She's going to be very uncomfortable disclosing it to a boyfriend, another sexual partner. That something like that had happened or been adopted.
Yeah. And part of the other thing we look into financial records. To try to determine whether an account has been accessed, that sort of thing. Did you know how much money your sister had in her account when she went missing?
No idea. I know she took a bunch of money when she left.
This is
from my dad.
Okay. Just money that was in the house?
Yeah, cash.
Okay. We checked her bank records. She had almost $2,000 in her bank account when she went missing.
Yeah.
I don't understand why she would, if she was planning on running away to California, why she wouldn't take that.
Maybe she didn't know she had it. Because my dad got that settlement of I still don't know how much money, and he said that he set up an account for me and for her.
Right.
So
he actually transferred the money from her account into your account.
Oh, okay.
Less than 6 months later after she went missing.
Yeah. I know he spent a bunch of money going to California and living for her, and took most of my money too.
Yeah. So that also was concerning to me that she had that much money. Because she was cashing checks from her work.
Yeah.
All that. And she had, so that's, if someone's running away, they probably would, if that much money, take it out.
Yeah.
Some of the other things, I'll kind of give you in talking to your grandmother and your aunt. When your mother died of cancer, your father sent letters to basically her side of the family saying, I don't want you to contact the family while we're adjusting and all this. And I actually have a copy of the letter I can show it to you if you like. Your grandmother and your aunt said that they sent Christmas cards and birthday cards to you guys for years afterwards. And I guess they initially sent money, and it was never, and so they never got any response from the cards.
Yeah.
So then your aunt and your grandmother started to send checks because they were hoping to see whether it was actually getting cashed.
Yeah.
The checks weren't cashed. So I suspect your father was maybe intercepting them. For what end? I don't know. I don't know why. It sounds like he had some and let me preface it, they have hostility towards father.
No, definitely.
And he had hostility
towards each other.
Right. So that's what this, that's odd that he would cut you guys off. And and they have very strong suspicions that your father maybe had something to do with Alissa's disappearance.
Yeah, I understand that's where it's going.
Do you have any suspicions of that?
I don't know. Honestly, when it comes to this, I take in what you have to tell me, and I try to, just toughen up as best I can. And I need to process it, and it's kind of a lot. I'm worried about Spanish, and
I apologize for hitting you with all this stuff.
No, I totally need to know. It's what I'm here for.
And I talked to James. James seems to have pretty strong suspicions about your father also.
Yeah, him and James don't talk.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to take everything with a grain of salt. People have axes to grind. They have, agendas and things like that. So, but I mean, like your father calling CPS on a very specific, for a kid to accuse their father of molesting them is a pretty extreme thing, and I don't understand why Alissa would do that. And talking to people said Alissa was pretty honest. She was straightforward.
Even Red, your brother, said she was brutally honest. She was very in your face. If she didn't like something, she told you.
Yeah, everyone was honest to her.
I haven't found anybody who said she was vindictive or vengeful or deceitful or conniving. Nothing like that. Not her friends, not teachers, not any of her family.
And I mean, there was a note found, and I mean, and you said it sounds like her. And
it sounds like her, but that she never ever wrote her name with a capital A, which I mean is just a small thing, but I've never seen that. Even me and James, my brother, were talking about it, and he said he's never seen it with a capital A.
And looking at it now that you know your father's version of it, does it and when I read it, it doesn't seem like it references properly what was going on. If your dad took her out of school early, wouldn't she, why did she say when you drop me off at school?
Why isn't it, when you left the house after we got in the argument, when you dropped me off, why would she ignore what had immediately and go back to when you dropped me off at school this morning?
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's not so much that we doubt it's from her.
Yeah.
I just, like Detective Summers, we feel it's out of time, it's out of place.
Yeah. And that's not the right amount, is it? I think she took more than that.
That's another thing. There's been inconsistencies. Your father has said different amounts to different people about the amount of money that was taken. In a letter to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, your dad said he had video surveillance inside and outside the house. That's
something that you're familiar with growing up in the home.
And he said he reviewed all 8 hours of the day showing missing and didn't see anything. And we also got a copy of this argument that he had with
John. The outside one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We came over and got it.
And we asked John about that. I kind of had standard questions I was asking people. One of the questions I asked is, what's your worst memory, or what's your best memory of Alissa? What's your worst memory of Alissa? John's statement to his worst memory was that they had an argument in front of the house. And the argument centered on, I guess your father had pulled John aside and said that Alissa was cheating on him. So he, of course, confronted Alissa about that. And he described the argument from his views that they had an argument. She got upset. She threw the phone against the house and he drove away. And then your father provides this video of an argument. And have you seen the video yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a while ago when it first happened.
Okay. And we looked at the video and it shows the two different camera angles. Just one in your carport area, the door, and you can see her. She throws the phone against the thing, and then she goes inside and looks like she's probably crying somewhat in the house.
Pardon me for a second.
Okay. So she, and then there's squealing of tires. It's silent, but then there's squealing of tires. I don't know where
he drives away.
Yeah. So that was the version of events from John. And I don't know why he would, and we hadn't prefaced it by like, hey, we have this video of you. That was his answer to what's your worst memory. Yeah. And that was it. And I haven't been able to find anybody else that, people described Alissa as being flirtatious. She would flirt with guys, but no other, activity, romantic activity really that, I don't think she was cheating on John, to kind of put it out flat out.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So that was a concern of that. So your father, we asked about the video. I think we were out there or through an email, and he said that he didn't have it anymore. This video of the day your sister disappeared.
Yeah.
Which is kind of important, the day she disappears is, and he also said that it didn't show her at all, which I don't understand if she's running away, why she would avoid camera angles. She's leaving a note why she would avoid camera angles to get out of the house.
I think I remember the cameras were. There was one in the vent right on the couch. Like, it was like right on the couch, living room area, and then one just on the carport. Those are the only ones I knew about. But that's why he doesn't do that anymore, because I got upset.
Yeah. And so the day she went missing is a big thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why he wouldn't keep that tape. And, you know, at the very least, it would be, that's the last time he saw her, you know, keep that. Or, you know, and your dad's kind of paranoid, you know, to be, you know.
No, I know.
And you think maybe at some point he would say, well, maybe they might accuse me of doing something. I want to keep this video showing her running away, or, you know, of me leaving the house at 1 and then coming back at 5 with you. But he doesn't have that video, or said he doesn't have it. So that's troublesome to me too. Your father has expressed a lot of hostility towards us or to the investigation. Like I said, I never dealt with your father before September when I started this investigation, and we were trying to, you know, get him to be cooperative, and, you know, he won't come down for an interview or even talk to us. He sent some emails to Detective Anderson, and was very long and rambling, and he has theories about the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers being involved and Alyssa's disappearance and things like that. We kind of looked into that with Paul Abbott. I can't imagine they would have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I can't explain my father's actions.
And I understand your father has a mental illness.
Yeah, exactly.
And, there's mental illness, and then, you know, there's just trying to find his daughter. And that, you know, that's weird. You know, I bring up the example of Polly Class. You ever hear of her? She was a girl in California. She was a small child that was actually kidnapped out of her home. And, you know, one of the investigators arrived, and, you know, they're talking to the dad, and dad was a single father. And he's like, look, I understand that you're going to investigate me because I'm in the house, but I can tell you I had nothing to do with this. I want you to polygraph me right now. I'll cooperate in any way in the investigation. And they polygraphed him, and he passed. Yeah. And then they focused on other things, and eventually it was found out that a sex offender had come into the house and taken the girl.
Yeah.
It would be wonderful if I could do that with your dad, but he doesn't want to cooperate. And I don't understand why, since we're trying to find his daughter, why he won't do that, you know?
I don't know either. I don't agree with everything he does, obviously, but I don't know how to get him down here.
Yes. And he's not going to. I don't believe he will. I don't think.
It's made it clear that he's willing.
Yeah.
And so and he's sent many letters, and his letters have gone from, you know, why aren't you investigating this to why are you investigating this now? Why do you bother? You know, it's 7 years old. Why are you even bothering looking into this now? And, you know, our response is, this is an open investigation. So it stayed open until we find Alissa.
Yeah.
So, do you have any questions about what I said so far?
No, I understand. So
I know this is a big pill to, like, be dumped in your lap and, you know, swallow.
Yeah, no.
I'm actually very thankful that you don't have a test today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was having problems with that, thinking, this is not going to be a good day for you.
No, not a test. The class is out of control.
Is there anything else about the investigation here?
I missed a little bit while you were out. Exhausted every conceivable lead. The only thing we have left unanswered. We have unanswered questions from your father, too. And again, we have to go back to the beginning. We have to start there. Would be great. We're going to try the media approach again to try to come forward to let them know we're not giving up on this. It's not going to go away. It's over when it's resolved. All right. For your father, I'm bothered by what he's told us, and also the absence of information.
Yeah.
All right. The videotape, especially, you have audio and video from the interior and exterior of the house from the last day she was seen. At very least, let me see that so I know what clothing she had on. So I can confirm she left with this jewelry on her person because she left everything else behind.
Yeah.
Let me know if she took her toiletries. Let me have a look at the bag she left. let me see the argument that your father says he had with her. Right? It would be in his best interest to say, look, yeah, we had an argument. It was just verbal. Here's me leaving the house. And here, an hour later, she's walking out the door.
Yeah.
All right.
I understand that.
But the absence of that information is deafening.
There's about a 4-hour, according to your father's account of it, there's about a 4-hour block where he's running errands looking for a camera lens. And that's when Alissa supposedly went missing. Because you guys came home around 5, was what you said. So, we've talked to a lot of people. I mean, John, the boyfriend, has suspicions about your dad.
Yeah.
One of the aspects of it, usually when a girl goes missing and she has a steady boyfriend, usually the father's after the boyfriend's left and right, like, hey, where my girl's at, tell me.
Knowing your father, his past experience, involving the car accident you were involved in, other things, it'd be fair to say he's a tenacious man. He's aggressive. He's going to get things done. He's not going to be shy. He's not going to be wilting and stay back. He's going to approach who he wants to approach, and he's going to get answers. Is that a fair assumption?
That he used to be? Yeah, I would say so. I don't think so.
Back in 2001, was he?
Somewhat. Probably not as much as when I got in my car accident. Because, I mean, he's just been deteriorating over the years, so.
Yeah.
He's really not anything what he used to be. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah. And I've talked to, like I said, ex-wives and things like that.
Carol and Cheryl.
Yes. Do you know that Carol has a child that she says is from?
Yeah, he actually told me about that, and he said that they did a paternity test and said that it wasn't his. No. There's no paternity test?
There's no paternity test. She had a child by him, and she said she didn't have any other partners, so it was his child. When she actually asked him for child support, and he said that, well, if you take me to court, I will require that I have that child for 6 months out of the year, and she didn't want to do that.
That's her version.
That's her version. I've got your dad's version of it. And and talking to your older brother's mother, Cheryl.
Yeah.
And she says that your father started to exhibit kind of signs of mental illness towards the end of their marriage. That's when he started getting conspiracy theories and things like that. I'm trying to think what else to let you know. So based on all this, and this is probably going to kind of shock you, but I wrote up some search warrants. Basically. And we're serving search warrants on your house today.
Today?
Today.
Yes. They actually started already.
Okay. So while I'm here, they're at my house.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm not, I know it's kind of, you're thinking we're back-ending you, and we're not trying to do that. Okay.
I wanted to get you out of that house so you were not present when this was done.
Okay, can I go?
Well, I want to kind of tell you what else we're doing here, okay? We're not arresting your dad, okay? But he is going to be taken into custody because we want to get some evidence from him, okay? And also, we're going to do a search warrant on your old house, okay? Now, I want to try to make this as least painful to you as possible. I know you have your dogs there and all that.
What, you're doing something to the dog?
No. I know you're probably worried about that. Is there anything else? We're going to search the house, and we're probably going to be there for a while. Okay. And, I know this is a big intrusion for you, and you're a complete victim in this situation, but it needs to be done for our investigation. We need to, see what your father has there, and, I kind of laid out why we think you might have more information that would help us find Alissa. What can we do to make this better? I mean, I'm willing to pay if you need to stay somewhere, do you need to go to a hotel or?
I don't know. I don't know. What do you mean? So he's going to be in jail for night? Or?
No. Your father, there's a court order saying that he has to give some evidence to us. We have to get DNA from him, which is basically we sweep
the buckle swab, just like we did.
Same thing. He has to give us his fingerprints, and pictures, and then he has to give us some handwriting samples. Okay. And the reason we're doing that is that we want to have a comparison, and we're doing an analysis on the note. I mean,
that's not to assign guilt. It's not to assign blame. It's information that will tell us involved or not involved.
Okay. I know this is, our concern was because your father has guns and has prior law enforcement experience, and to be honest, is a little unstable. We didn't want him to do something,
Well, if you send policemen into my house, he's gonna freak out.
He's already been taken. Yeah. We waited for him to leave the house. Traffic stop was performed. He was taken into custody. No problems.
So we're not going to destroy your house or anything.
Is he going to get in trouble for his gun?
No, this is Arizona. It's perfectly legal to have weapons.
And he had the PPW already.
Yeah. So like there aren't any illegal weapons.
So he left the house while you were down here, and he was taken into custody. And then, like I said, he's not being arrested. He's being detained, so he produces this evidence, and then he'll be released. And then he can, obviously we're going to get the house. He won't be able to go back to the house. But that's what the situation is.
So I'm not going to be able to go back to my house?
Not while we're there, no. We'll be happy if you need to get something out of there.
I have a paper due at 6.
Okay.
And I need to be at school, probably right now.
Okay.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I can't go to school.
I feel bad about that. I wish I could change this, but I would have loved to tell you all this beforehand, but I worried that maybe your father would have found out, and then we would have had a situation where he would have been locked inside the house, and he would have wanted to do something crazy with, shoot out with us or something like that.
Oh, I'm sure he would have cooperated.
Okay, well, he's expressed a lot of hostility towards us and the police in general, and I'm sure you probably feel some hostility towards us now. But I can assure you that we're doing this in the interest of finding Alissa. It's not we're out to get him or anything like that. Hopefully we'll find something that we'll be able to say his father had nothing to do with this, and he was, he just has a mental illness, and that's why he looks so suspicious. So we'll be more than happy to go back with you. We can walk you into the house if you need to retrieve some stuff and all that. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of police there, and there's going to be what we call MAC van out in front of your house. Okay. The press sometimes shows up in this thing, so
it draws their attention.
Yeah. So we'll probably do, a release to the press just stating that we're investigating a missing person case. Sarah, I apologize. I wish that there was some other way to do this, but without your father's cooperation, there's things that we need that, the evidence we need to further this investigation. Okay. I'm not saying I have suspicions, but I'm not saying your dad was responsible for her disappearance. But you've seen TV shows, the last person to see a missing person is a strong investigative lead in the situation. I don't know what happened to your sister that last day, but your father was the last one to see her. And, talking to everybody, there was issues between your father and Alissa. They didn't get along,
Me and my dad don't get along.
Yeah. But, there seems to be some stronger issues going on there.
Oh, I understand.
I know you're saying your father never did anything with you. You are his biological daughter. Alissa wasn't his biological daughter. Is there anything you want to, again, I apologize. I wish there was some other way we could do this. Do you have questions about, and I'm trying to be as upfront as possible, with everything that we've learned.
Ask whatever you'd like.
Okay.
I don't know what to ask.
Okay.
You have my phone number. You know how to get a hold of me.
I don't have your cell phone number. Every time I call the office, it just goes to the answering machine.
I'm not very often at that desk. I'm usually in this room, or I'm out looking for someone. And I always return those calls, though.
Yeah. You have our emails, too. You still have my business card? Or?
I don't know.
Okay, let me give it to you again. I feel terrible about this. I know you're a truly innocent victim in all this situation, and I wish I could do this some other way.
We were kind of hoping that you would have moved out by now.
Well, I'm going to in the summer when I transfer to university.
Okay. I'm going to call James and let him know what's going on. You know, that, I mean, because I'm not saying what he said made me face in that direction, but he obviously has suspicions about your father, and many people do. Do you have any suspicions about your father? I mean, do you think your father is capable of doing anything to? I mean, and maybe not even intentionally, but maybe accidentally or something.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't know. I just really don't want to say anything because now I'm afraid that you're going to do something to me or turn around or do something, because now I'm a little freaked out and upset, and probably isn't the best time to be talking.
Okay. That's understandable. And, feel free to contact us when you need to collect your thoughts and all that. I mean, or if you don't want to talk to us anymore, that's fine. I mean, we're still going to look for your sister.
No, all I want to do is find out what happened to my sister. That's all I want. That's all I want. That's the only reason I took this over. And that's all I want. And I just...
Yeah, that's what we want. And, we take the case, we follow the case where it leads us. And this is where it's led us right now. And, we'll keep working it, and we'll see what we find out, and we'll keep you updated. Again, I apologize. I wish there was some other, because of your concerns about your father, we couldn't let you know beforehand. And I wish we could have, but because of your father's mental state, I was worried that he might do something, to us when we went to do this, or to whoever was doing it, or to you. I mean, I apologize. Do you want to go back to your house now and get those things that you need?
I guess, I just want to call my brother right now.
You want to? We're gonna go up there. We'll be up there.
At my house?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna call my brother and try to see if maybe I can drive.
Okay. Do you need us to drive you anywhere or anything like that?
I can't just leave my car here.
Okay.
Next time on Voices for Justice.
And so all of a sudden on the news, me with Bill in the living room. I just got home from work, and I see her cat's picture on the news. I'm like, what the hell, and that's how I found out, thinking, oh my God, he killed her.
And I think they felt like they were getting close to something, and when somebody told me, he said, we have, or Anderson told me, he said, we have all this circumstantial evidence, and every bit of it points to money.
Voices for Justice is hosted, produced, and edited by me, Sarah Turney. If you want to learn more about Alissa's story and how you can help with the case, visit justiceforalissa.com. And if you love the show, it would really help if you gave me a rating and review in your podcast player. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next time.